Hey everyone, welcome to Solium Infernum. I'm Disturbing Puppet. So this is a game about ruling in hell, which is of course better than serving in heaven. So I think this was an old board game, and might have even had an old computer game adaptation, I'm not sure. This is made by the same guys, League of Geeks, that made Armello, and there is some Armello influence in here, which is kind of odd considering this is a game about hell, and ruling in hell, and Armello's a game about fantasy animal creatures fighting each other. There are some similarities, though, in some ways. So in this case, Satan is gone, and the remaining demons and devils are now sort of fighting over who's going to be in charge. There's multiple different ways to win. Much like Armello, there is a way where you can sort of win by conquering. There's a city called Pandemonium, which is like the main capital city of hell. If you conquer that and can fight off everybody else, you win. Or if you last until the end of a certain round of turns, have the highest prestige when things end, then you win by having the most prestige. That is by far the easiest way to win, especially if you're doing a short game, which is about 50 turns, which is what we'll be doing today. So we'll be setting up. There is a variety of oddness in the game, but it is kind of fun. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So I did win with a couple different ones, so we're going to go ahead and play a new game. So there are different maps. I haven't messed with too many. What did I play on last time? I don't know if I played on Dante's Peak. So we're doing normal 50, 4 players, places of power. I kind of like having some, and at least a medium-sized map. Can't remember if I played medium or large last time. It was actually pretty good. I felt like the smaller maps were quite small overall and don't give you a lot of room to do much. We'll go medium, some places of power. Places of power, having control of them gives you a really good way to gain that prestige that you need to win. So we have a variety of different people we can be. Each of them have different powers and things. If you want to fight and kill everybody, Astaroth is your guy. You want to be a little tricky, Lilith. Actually, a lot of them are kind of a little tricky. I have not played with Andromalis, so you can kind of see this animation and stuff looks very much Armello-y. The interactions and stuff, it's very Armello. But if you look at like this kind of animation and stuff, there's some really awesome animation for like the demons, the legions, territories, locations, all that kind of stuff that really don't seem to fit with the style anyway. So I have played as Mammon and Astaroth. Astaroth just conquer everything. Mammon gets lots and lots of resources, and then you kind of take over because you have tons of resources. I think I want to play as Belial because I believe he gets an extra action. So let's see. So these are various different skills, which will give you access mostly to spells and stuff. So Belial, Prince of Lies, he's a manipulator, a deceiver of the First Order, and practicing hypocrite. Belial plays labyrinthine game of lies, of plans within plans, of calculated slander and duplicitous praise. So he has the vile calumny. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. A unique diplomatic insult that Belial pins on another archfiend, allowing him to start a war between his opponents. Alright, that's nice. I thought his ability was that he had an extra action, but maybe that's something else. Oh, okay, he's got it because he has the Crown of Bureaucracy. You navigate the red tape like others breathe. Additional order slot up to a maximum of 6. You're really restricted to the number of orders you can have, and almost everything requires an order. So we could change this if we wanted to, but I kind of like that. We, of course, have the Children of Belial as our starting legion, and we'll get into some of this other stuff in a bit. And we have our basic stronghold. If you lose your stronghold, you are out, but it's difficult to get to the point where you're going to be, having your stronghold at risk. So yeah, kind of some of the other ones, there are some interesting, like Murmur's pretty cool looking, and then Beelzebub's kind of interesting looking. But yeah, we're going to go with Belial. So you can play around with the different relics and stuff. Like they each do have their own relics. So like Armello, where you had the different stuff that you could add to sort of change things up a little bit, there's something you could do with that. All right, yeah, we're going to go with Belial. So we're going to play against random AIs. Yeah, We're just AI. So they hopefully, like, I guess we could tell them which one we want them to play. Just random is fine, I think. Yeah, and we'll get into resources and stuff here in a moment. Once we're actually in, I'll kind of explain some of that stuff. It's a little bit dense to get into, but it's not too crazy complicated or anything. The Dark Majesty has vanished, and the Conclave of Pandemonium howls for replacement. You are an Archfiend, ruler of a great house of hell, and yours is the right to claim the Infernal Throne. Build your prestige, command your legions, and surpass your fellow fallen by blood or treachery. No sin is beneath you. This is hell after all. Now, this is hell, but there are rules. So there's actually a lot of rules about conduct and fighting, which were established and they kind of get into to kind of stop the demons from just constantly fighting each other. Alright, so I'm over here. I just want to look around and see. So Murmur is nearby. So we've got Murmur, Andromalis, he's like the angel guy, Mammon. So they're really close to each other, so hopefully they're going to be kind of busy fighting. And you can kind of see places of power. So this is me, and this is what I control. What I need to do is sort of take control of these places of power. That's awfully close to you. I don't have any that are very close to me. That's not great. I might have to try to go to the Unholy Fountain or something. Dante's Peak. Cannot be entered, cannot be claimed. It does say unclaimed, so maybe at some point we can claim it. So first of all, let's take a look here. Resources. There's Souls, Ichor, Hellfire, and Darkness. We gain resources by telling my legions, well, not necessarily legions, but my minions, to go collect resources from everyone inside my territory. The higher rank I am, the more resources I get. So inside my sanctum here, I can pay prestige, which I currently have 20 of, to eventually go to Marquis of Hell, Duke of Hell, Prince of Hell. The higher your rank is, the more resources you get from telling your guys to collect resources. Doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how much territory you control. So that's one thing. You will need to kind of play with this a little bit because higher value stuff is going to combine the costs. So it has a weird mechanic where some things are going to cost a variety of different resources, but you can only use a certain number of tokens to pay for them. And if you have too many small tokens to pay for stuff, you're going to end up having to combine them. So that's a whole other action that you can do in and of itself. Is that under... That's control... Yeah, so this is combining tribute. So yeah, here we can see. So this is what I have. So we've got some combined ones and then individual ones. Later you're going to have way more like higher value individual ones or combined ones. So if you want to combine stuff, you have to do that as a separate action. So that's something you have to do. So it's not something you really have to worry about too much. Just later as things progress, you'll do that. Here in your sanctum, you can come up with a new scheme of how to gain prestige. You can improve your various different powers. So this will unlock different abilities for you, and it'll tell you very clearly what you get. If you get to rank 4 in anything, it does give you an extra order slot. So you want to probably prioritize, if you're especially not Belial, getting something to rank 4 ASAP so you can have additional orders, because usually you only start with 2. So I've got 3 because I'm Belial. So anyway, that's that. My base. So Belial's Stronghold. So if I want to, I can look at an encyclopedia entry on pretty much everything. So it has Deceit Strength, increased chance of deceit rituals. This is the level, health, and defense. So attack and defense. When you attack or defend with anything, whether it's a legion or a place of power or a settlement, everything has different stats. So you've got a ranged value, a close combat value, and a magic value. I think it's not necessarily called that, But usually, combat goes ranged first, then close combat, then magic. Some things will change the order, which can mess things up for you. What you do is you compare the two numbers to each other. So say I have just say 666, for example. If we both have 6, neither one of us takes damage. If I've got 6 but you've got a 4, that means you're going to take 2. And here again, I've got 6, you've got 4, you're going to take 2. But if I'm only like 333, I'm going to take 3 from ranged, I'm going to take 1 from close combat, I'm going to take 1 from magic. So it kind of just lines up whoever's going to beat each value. But things can, swap that around a little bit. So anyway, Belial's stronghold, Tenebrous. Belial's lair was dim, being constructed of stepped volcanic obsidian, which imparted a curious subterranean atmosphere. Thus, candles and torches failed to illuminate its crannies and bolt holes, leaving the impression that one was always being watched. Around his jagged throne, Belial surrounded himself with all manner of books, treasures, and magical things. Yes, and that's something we can get to as well. Buying stuff costs an action. Buying each individual thing costs an action. There's legions you can buy, there are artifacts you can buy, all that kind of stuff. So having control of this does give me some prestige, but we're going to need to get more than that. Belial's Legion. So we can kind of see the Children of Belial. So like we were just talking about, they've got a 6 ranged, only 1 in close combat, 4 in, I guess it's infernal, blasting, sorcerer's lightning. So always goes in that order. So we're pretty good at ranged, but I might want to do something about melee to get that up if we can. There's ways you can add leaders to legions. You could add artifacts, just like you can do that to locations. You can kind of see there's 4 slots there above the HP. That's where we could add things like characters, that kind of stuff. Here I've only got 1 slot, but as I level up, we can get more open. So the Children of Belial are unwavering. So they can't be converted using rituals, so they can't be sacrificed. And if destroyed, they'll reform after a number of turns equal to twice their level. So once they get strong, and they usually do because they're your starting legion, for each faction they're a little different. So like Astaroth, his guys are really, really strong. Belial's are kind of mediocre. The longer you have them around, the more powerful they get. If they do die, they don't come back for quite a while. Only 6 HP, as you can kind of see. So let's take a look at Belial's Legion. They were curious subterranean things, some with beaks and others spiked and loped strides. Their weapons were heavy and unrefined. They seemed to know what to do by instinct alone, like a swarm of bats emerging from a cave. Together they presented a challenge to those who thought conventionally on the field. So yeah, look at this art. This is amazing art. There's a really fantastic art in this. Like if we want to go in here as well, like Wealth of Tribute. Okay, I don't want to actually do that. I wanted to kind of look at the card, but you can kind of see there's really amazing looking art in this game, and then we kind of have these weird little cartoony demon guys. Just kind of an odd combination of stuff. It very much does seem like a board game in the fact that all your legions on the map look the same, and if you give them a leader, the leader looks the same, that kind of thing. So if I want to tell my legion to move, that costs an order. If I want to get a leader for them, that costs an order. If I want to then assign that leader from having been bought to a legion, that's an order. I want to collect resources, that's an order. So your guys usually can only move 2 spaces, and if it's unclaimed territory, so like now most of this is unclaimed, we'll just conquer it by walking through it. If it's territory claimed by somebody else, first we have to have a reason to be at war with them. Then, if we end a turn on one of their tiles, we'll take it. But if I just move through something, it doesn't give it to me. So there are some neutral factions running around. In this case, there's Abyss Striders. So these guys do melee first. That's really bad for me. So Abyss Striders, for me, are probably just going to kill me. Well, they won't kill me instantly, but some of the stronger ones later will. Right now, they're going to do 5 damage to me, almost kill me. Then I will kill them with range, because they do melee first. So I can survive a single fight, but then it'll take me a while to kind of heal up afterwards. So, for our first order, what I probably need to do, collect resources. So, occasionally you do get free resources. Your guys just show up and here, have some money, please leave us alone. but that's sort of random. It might be on a certain timer depending on your rank, I'm not sure. Higher rank, more tribute quality. Earlier we do this, the higher the tribute quality also. So if you're going to collect resources, it's best to do it early on unless you have to do something militarily to keep somebody alive, that kind of thing. So we're going to collect resources. So that's an order done. So your early turns are actually going to be really quick because you can't really do a whole lot. Thankfully for Belial, we can actually do a decent amount of stuff. So what I'm going to do is take a look in the bazaar. So there's various different legions, and we can kind of see the cost. Stuff's going to be really expensive the higher rank it is. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, eventually we could maybe afford the Hounds of Hell. Praetors are kind of like characters, so these guys you can attach to one of your legions and lead them. They'll give some different bonuses to it. You can also have Praetors fight each other as part of a condition where you go to war with someone. Instead of actually fighting directly, they might, or you might, decide you want your characters to fight one another. So, can we actually afford anybody? We can't afford Barbados. We could afford Elagos. We can't afford Hagenti. But Hagenti is actually who we probably want the most for my legion, because my melee is quite low. This guy we could get to ranged, which is nice and builds on what I already have for strengths, but he makes me do... Well, actually, I thought that was melee first. That's melee last. Actually, that's not bad. So maybe... I was initially thinking it was melee first. Maybe we go ahead and put a bid in on Elagos to throw him in there. I'm not sure if someone has melee first and I've got melee last, what happens? I would assume it probably just goes regular resolve order then if they counteract one another, but I'm not sure. So then there's artifacts, which do various different things. What is this? Arcane Shield. 0 ranged damage taken. That's bad for me if someone else gets that. Scroll of the Nephilim, so extra prestige. That's very good. Destruction power level goes up. That's quite good. And kind of see it's also quite expensive. Right now, most of this is kind of out of our price range. Infernal +3, so that, if we want to put it in a unit, is going to increase their magic ability. And Ambition, -1 victory required to level up. Interesting. Manuscripts, usually you need multiple to do some kind of bonus. So whether it's giving someone a skill, in this case, improving movement of somebody, and this would increase the Infernal, so the magic power of a unit. If we have a couple of them, we can then use. But we'll need to collect 2. They don't always have to be, like, it won't always say Sorcerer's training. They might say something else. But yeah, there's different stuff that'll pop up like that. I think we're going to go ahead and try to get Elagos. If we get him, I'll go ahead and read through this, but we'll go ahead and try a bid. So if it is tied, whoever puts more money in, we're just going to do the standard bid. Although it looks like I'm putting an extra resource in just because of the way these combine. That's fine. So we're actually slightly overbidding. So we'll do that. So that's an order, just bidding on him. Next, what I want to do is start moving towards some place we want to take over. There's a couple Abyss Striders over here. That's kind of bad. Unfortunately... Wow, okay, that's a really dangerous place for me to attack. 8-13. Yeah, that's pretty bad too. Yeah, these are dangerous locations to try to take out. They're quite strong, actually. The Unholy Fountain is weak. So maybe we try to make a beeline for the Unholy Fountain. I'm worried that the Abyss Striders are going to kill me, though. So what we're going to do is go ahead and place an order to move. And start getting them heading for the Unholy Fountain, because that's fairly weak. Everywhere else is really strong. But I'm kind of far away from it. I'm hoping that they won't come down from here, but you never know. Alright, so that's all I can do. I've got all my orders in. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. And that'll kind of show... also, depending on your position, it's going to decide who acts first in what order. So you can kind of see it up at the top. The action order always starts with... It rotates like who's sort of in charge for that round, essentially, and that person goes first. Most of my actions didn't involve moving or doing anything crazy, but yeah, we're just going to go out and take over some territory. The Striders. Be nice if they would attack that other legion over there. Nope, they're just going to wander around. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just heading right for where I'm going as well. So yeah, currently I'm the favorite. So yeah, Mammon is the regent. So that means in this next round, I'm going last. So it'll go him first, Murmur and Dramalis, then me. So we'll get a little bit of stuff. Yeah, so we won the auction. So select your tribute. So we have a choice. What am I low on? We'll grab this because it's 3, and grab this because I'm lower on that, I guess. Sure. And we won our auction on Elagos. So I could assign Elagos to my stronghold if I wanted to, but that's not what I'm going to do. If we want to look at my Praetors, let's take a look at Elagos since we actually won him. So yeah, Elagos helps quite a bit. We still do melee, it's just last. Hopefully we kill something with range before it becomes a problem. I have received 34 letters from Belial since we last spoke. He seems greatly concerned with a prophesized uprising amongst demons within the gates of Pandemonium, and he of course is fishing for related prophecies that I may hold. Of most concern to me is his lack of explanation for these images. He speaks reservedly, and he seems to hold many secrets close to his chest. I will deploy eyes and ears to unfold these intentions. A letter found outside Beelzebub's chamber, signed by Great Duke Elagos, but without an addressee. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Just amazing art. Alright, so yeah, if I want to assign Elagos, we have to do that here. So I'm going to go ahead and get tribute first. Then I'm going to transfer my Praetor over to my Legion. That's an order. Then what I'm going to do, I mean, I probably should move my Legion down, but I feel like... Is this Mammon? Murmur is probably going to be taking that on. 037. So yeah, you can pretty easily take that. Once I have my Praetor, I could kill some Abyss Striders. I think I get some prestige for killing Abyss Striders. I don't remember for sure. It's been too long. I don't think I can take the Unholy Fountain if Murmur gets it first, and he can get there next turn. I can't just go to war with Murmur. I have to threaten him and then have him respond. And if he doesn't give me what I want, then I have a casus belli, so a reason to go to war with him. So I can basically make a demand of him, and he can just say, fine, here you go. And that's it. It's done. It's resolved. I got what I wanted. It just makes him look bad, and I think he loses some prestige. If he says, no, screw you, then I have a reason to go to war with him, and I can decide, do I want to have my Praetor challenge one of his Praetors? Do I want to take a certain number of territory spots away from him? Or do I want to take a place of power away from him? Or do I want to destroy a legion or a certain number of legions? And then how long do I have to do that? I can't decide to wipe him out by taking on his stronghold and fighting it unless I've already fought him over lesser stuff. I think it's 4 times, 3 or 4 times, something like that. So it does happen, but I've never really, I think, been in a situation where it's come up. I think because the length of the games at 50 turns typically sort of disincentivizes that a little bit. You're not going to be fighting the same person over and over and over again separately. They're going to be fighting each other. They'll be busy doing other stuff. They're going to leave you alone, or you can, you could really go after someone if you wanted to, but you have to be in a pretty dominant position to do that. Okay, so what else could I do? We could definitely move in on the territory. I could get within striking range. Is there something here? Sulfur Vets times 0 range damage taken by defenders. Well, that's evil. Okay, that's really bad for me because I'm very ranged focused. So if someone's hanging out on sulfur vents, that might be a problem. That doesn't look like lava. I've seen lava stuff before. It didn't look like that. It was much more clear. So yeah, I'd have to take some lava damage to go through here, or we can hang out in these sulfur vents. But if I'm in a sulfur vent, it's only the defender. So I could still do damage as a defender, but I can't really attack anybody and do much range damage. That's unfortunate. Alright, what I'm going to do then. So if I want to upgrade powers, it does require resources. So it's going to show me highlighted. I could, right now, go up to level 2 in Seer. It'll show me what that will do for me. We could go to level 1 in Destruction. I think we want to just focus on Deceit, probably. What I could also do, if we had enough resources, would be to go up in a rank. None of that's that big a deal. We do have this. All Archfiends gain 2 tribute quality for 3 to 6 turns. Not terrible. I'd want to play that before I do a tribute request. But I think what I'm going to do is start plotting a scheme. So this will give me some kind of objective to do to give me some additional prestige. I'll be able to choose once it's ready. I'll give me like 2 or 3 options and then I can pick one. So what else could we do? Well, we could look at diplomacy. No, this isn't diplomacy, this is ritual chamber. So this is something we can also do spells to either do things to other people or to protect me from other people doing stuff to me. So like elocution gets me additional votes. Whenever someone targets me, I gain prestige. So anyone wants to mess with me, demand stuff from me, I just get prestige from it. It does require an ongoing cost, as you can kind of see, so this is pretty good. We could probably get that up later. Dark Augury reveals the Archfiend's weakest powers. That's not that helpful. Once we upgrade, I think we can see like what's in their vault and that kind of stuff. Evil Ward, so increases your resistance to destruction by 2, 5 to 7 prestige when I resist. When I had a previous game where I was really getting focused a lot by spells and rituals and stuff, I tried to use some various different rituals to protect myself. They didn't help at all. So even though they were giving me increased resistance, it didn't make any difference at all. It was just costing me resources. So it sort of depends, not sure. Loot the vaults. Carefully remove 2 to 4 random unallocated tribute tokens from the target's vault and spirit them back to yours. I do not have to be at war with someone to do this to them. I can just keep messing with them if I want to. Strategic Confusion befuddles the target, preventing it from moving for the rest of the turn. This has no effect if they've already moved. That's interesting. Haven't seen that one before. So what I was thinking of is diplomacy. So here we can see who's doing what to each other. We can also make demands and stuff here if we want to. We can also compliment the others, or just randomly threaten them if we want to. I think a lot of that's built in for when you're playing against other people rather than against AI. So this is where you would make demands. And I think I have a special demand that I can make, but we can't do it at the moment. Just out of curiosity, if I click. My dark art will frame another Archfiend for an insult against this Archfiend. Prestige wagers of indebted grievances are resolved between the targets instead of me. Yeah, so it does cost me some prestige to do this, but I could potentially start a war between 2 other factions. That's kind of neat. When I was playing before, Belial was allied with me because I was in such a strong position, but he kept stealing crap from me. He was using magic and stuff to do it. Maybe he wasn't, and he was being framed for it, but I think he was doing it. It's, seems very Belial thing to do. All right, let's go ahead and just go to the next turn. So Mammon is on the march. I have noticed this game's a bit jerky. There have been some updates. It's evened out a little bit, but still. And they're going to attack the Unholy Fountain, so we'll get to see the comparison. They take a little bit of damage in ranged. Close combat's going to be the same. then they're going to do a bunch of damage with magic. So the fighting will continue if they want to keep making moves on that. Alright, I've got my Praetor up. That's my Praetor now appearing in my Legion. Strider's on the move. So now the Regent moves to Murmur, so Murmur is going to go first. So I'm not quite last. So again, we've got to select our tribute. So this is a variety. I'm totally out of blood. So I'll take the blood. It's better to take... Yeah, let's take the 2 souls. So we'll do that. Now, for my scheme. So I have a couple options. Yeah, one of them is a lot easier than others. Make a demand with the Infernal Negotiations ritual active. That's doable. Enemy of all, win a vendetta against Mammon, Murmur, and Andromalis. So this is more of a long-range thing we can do. Let's take the one-sided argument, and then we can declare it privately or publicly. So if it's private, I don't get the prestige until we reach sort of the end game. Whereas if I do it publicly, I get it immediately, but I get less if it's private. I'm going to do it privately, just so it's not quite so obvious what's going on. New schemes are active. Begun a scheme to make a demand with the Infernal Negotiations ritual active. Yep. We can look at a battle report if we want to, just attacking there. We assigned our Praetor to the Children of Belial. Auction concluded in the Bazaar. Barbados has been purchased from the Bazaar by an unknown archfiend. Alright, so I think that gives you a relatively okay idea of where we're at this point. What I'm going to do is play for a bit. I'm going to come back and we'll sort of check in as the campaign progresses. It's not super long. The early ones do go fairly quickly, but there's a lot of kind of downtime. I feel like I'm not in a really good position here. I don't know that I'm going to ever be able to get the Unholy Fountain without going to war with Murmur. Murmur is not really close to anybody else either, so that's a bit of an issue. So if I want to get somebody fighting, we probably want to get Mammon and Andromalis fighting each other. I think that's a good idea. Then they can kind of leave us alone. But Murmur's going to be trouble, and then these Striders here are also trouble. But yeah, we'll check in next time and see how the campaign is progressing. So this is just kind of a quick look at the beginning of a game of Solium Infernum. I've been Disturbing Puppet. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. Until then, have a good one.